Another episode of Talkin Grizz, where each week we bring in Memphis's finest to talk everything recent happening with the Grizzlies. It's a gloomy day outside, so to brighten up your day, we've got three of the best guests so far. To my very right, we've got Mr. Jarvis Greer, sports director at WMC Action News 5. Thank you for being here today.
It's a wonderful thing to be here. It's just a wonderful thing to be anywhere inside with the weather like it is. But hey, man, this is fabulous. This studio is great.
You like it?
I mean, this is first class.
What's your favorite part?
Favorite part? Sitting here talking to you. How about that?
Ooh, he's sucking up to the host.
I have to do that, man. You live and you learn some things over time.
Standing ovation for everyone. Next to him, Peter Edmiston, writer at The Athletic, radio host, all-around great dude.
Thank you.
Self-acclaimed legend.
I mean, you said it, so I'll just agree with it. But yeah, absolutely.
You left out leader of men.
Leader of men and women alike. Yeah, it's true.
And,
I'm just happy to be here with Jarvo.
dogs.
Honestly, Jarvo's my guy from way back. So nice to be here with you, and then of course Kelcey.
Do you guys want like your own?
No, it's good that we talk plenty, but it's nice.
Yeah.
I'm usually not on camera with Jarvo, so it's exciting.
Well.
Normally he's talking on the radio.
We spar back and forth on his radio.
No, it's good. It's good to have that. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me here. It is pretty yuck out there.
All right. And to my left, one of my favorite people, meme god of the Memphis Grizzlies, Devin Marquette Walker.
Hi guys.
Devin,
I'm here again.
you've only missed one show.
I missed one show.
Thanks again for being here.
That's like 90%? I'm not very good at math.
I'm not very good at math either.
Close enough, right?
Are you guys?
All of us who are in radio or
look,
television
it's so
are
gloomy
not good
outside.
at math.
It's like bringing me down. So
You sound sad, man. Normally I talk to you.
I'm
I love
usually
Devin content because that's what he's all about. And
He's probably sick of me, that's why.
No, I'm not sick of you. It's okay. Not yet.
you're not sick,
Not
are you?
yet.
Not yet.
Also, I'm not sick.
Okay,
either.
just let me know.
Hey,
yeah.
6 feet distance.
Sick at
whatever.
all.
There you go.
Are you guys far enough apart?
Are you guys?
6 feet.
I don't-
Hey, it's 6 feet.
I
Right?
don't think
we
so.
might
We're
need
just
move.
trying to stay far away from you guys,
see,
to be
yeah,
honest.
sure.
Tag team deal, apparently.
All right, you guys ready to talk some ball?
Let's do it.
Who?
All right, our director downstairs, Kimball, let's run the first video. This is the video to start the day. It is the reunion of Marc Gasol, Mike Conley, meeting up, being buddies. You'll love to see it if you're a Memphis Grizzlies fan. Gotta love it.
How beautiful is that?
How beautiful is
it's-
that?
You see them together, like the joy when they first see each other and they come back, and it's always forever. It's nice. It's so easy to kind of have that drift away from your memory. But man, I saw that that just gave me the warm and fuzzies. That was
Yeah, you got to
beautiful.
put that slow motion with that music,
Yeah.
But no, those guys have a genuine affection for each other because they came up together. Basically.
Oh, they were bros, man, for
Yeah.
real. That's exactly. You hit that note. I was a
Is
little
that
worried
Celine
about it.
Dion?
Yeah, that was nice.
Is that Celine Dion?
Yeah.
I don't know what that
No,
was. But
no, that was Whitney Houston
Oh my
Oh,
bad.
yeah, it
my
was.
bad. My
It
bad.
was.
How dare I?
and or Dolly Parton. If you
There
really
we
want
go.
to.
No, it was Whitney Houston.
Throw
That
it
was
way
beautiful.
back.
That was beautiful. Okay, guys, so when I see that, it brings up a lot of questions. But here's
Okay.
the question that
Okay.
it brings up to me. If we're looking at Grizzlies duos of all time, I'm going to list a few here.
All right.
You guys can help me rank them and then tell me what you think about your greatest duo. So here are the ones that come up. Obviously, Mike Conley, Marc Gasol,
Yeah.
Tony
good.
Allen, Zebo,
Yeah. Yeah.
Mike Bibby, Sharif Abdur-Rahim.
Before
got on my
they're-
shirt, of
before
course.
they were here.
And then most recently, Ja Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr. So I'm going to start over with you, Jarvis. If you could rank these duos, and if your top is not here, tell me what your top is.
Well, the first one that comes to mind actually is when the team first moved here, and that would be Pau Gasol, Shane Battier, because they were basically the face of the franchise when it moved here from Vancouver, and they were the ones. Pau Gasol was the first draft pick. Then they picked Shane Battier a little bit later, and of course Shane Battier was Mr. All Everything from Duke. Pau Gasol, nobody knew anything about him because he was a 19-year-old kid from Spain, barely spoke English. But when they came here, they formed a bond, and they were actually, they were rookie All-Stars together. So I would put them on the list. But as far as favorite, if you want to know my personal favorite, I would have to go with Zebo and TA. Simply because of what they accomplished while they were here. Now, Mike and Mark would be like, people would think that just right immediately because they grew up together here in Memphis. Basically, Mark went to high school here in Memphis because Pau was here. He went to Lausanne and played. and then became a pro here after that trade for his brother, actually. Sent his brother to L.A. and sent Mark here. And, of course, Mike was already on the team 1 year earlier, being the number 4, I think it was number 4 draft pick that year. And they grew up together, and they accomplished great things. But Zebo and TA were the most productive in my opinion.
So you're adding Pau and Shane.
Yes.
But you're putting TA and Zebo at number 1.
Yes.
All right.
So I have a question, Kelcey.
I asked the questions here.
This is what I'm saying. I don't want to step on any toes.
Toes are already stepped on.
As an honorary Canadian myself, I am also very polite.
Why are
and
you an
kind.
honorary
Yeah, why are you an honorary
I am.
Canadian?
Long story. Anyway, why is it Mike and Mark and not like Mark and Zebo?
You
Mark
tell
and
me.
Zebo, like,
you can add that duo if you
I
like.
would
Yeah,
add.
that
See,
would
I would
be-
I would rank them as follows: Mike and Mark 1, Mark and Zebo 2,
Wait, slow
Mike
down.
and Tony 3, and Tony and
Okay.
Zebo 4.
Okay.
Just any pairs of because that's the group. With
Who's
all
number,
due respect,
tell me who number
to,
1 is. Sorry.
I forgot. Zebo and Mark. The way
Okay.
they work together and their interactions
They were brothers
on the
from
court,
another mother, basically.
They always said
Quarterback.
that. Brothers
That's
from
right.
another mother. The high-low stuff was fantastic. The way they embodied the whole thing. Grit and grind, and Tony too. But if I'm having to pair these guys off, like Zebo doing his thing, Mark, his ability to unlock all that stuff, play defensive player of the year, all that, that was the difference. And, so any combination of those 4, throw them in and rank those as your top 4 with respect to Mike and Sharif and Shane and J. Will and Earl Watson and whoever else you want to throw in the mix. Those 4 guys changed everything for this franchise, so they should be the entirety of the list as far
Just
as I'm
all
concerned. Just
mix
in
it
whatever.
together.
Just
That's
keep,
why the
keep
core 4
shifting them around.
statue is
Keep
gonna go
shifting
in
them
front of
around.
this
Those
building
are
that
in
we're
whatever
sitting
pairs because they're to me they're head and shoulders above everybody.
Yeah.
I like it.
So y'all have gone with the transcendent grit and grind guys.
Yeah.
Yes.
I guess because it's my duty to move to the new era.
Yeah.
The next
To
gen,
the
if
next
you will.
gen era.
Grizz next gen.
Grizz
Grizz
next
next gen.
gen.
You know,
Throw in the
it's
X.
really something how they kept
Throw-
that G and G.
Yeah, throw in the X.
Gri-
Throw up
Are
the
you
X.
is that
Grizz
is like
next gen.
DVN since it's like GRZ?
Yeah, there you go.
DVN. Is that what you're
DVN,
going to do?
There you go. That's my
Okay.
version.
Yeah, all right.
So I'm going to go with the new era, the guys that are going to propel this franchise into the next era of Grizzlies basketball. I'm going to go with, of course, Ja Morant.
Yeah, he brought a prop.
I brought props.
You didn't tell us we could bring props.
Yeah, props are acceptable.
Ja Morant, and of course, the modern day unicorn. Shout out to Kristaps Porzingis. You're a fake unicorn. Jaren Jackson Jr.
How about that? Their numbers are 12 and 13.
There we go. 12 and 13.
That's
the
really good.
next era of Grizzlies basketball. That is my favorite duo because, I mean, we talked about Tony Allen, Zebo. They're, of course, they're loved in the community. They're loved everywhere. But I think the way that Jaren and Ja will have like kind of a hold on the NBA, like the NBA, they connected with Zebo and Tony, but the NBA never kind of really embraced them. What I've seen in the last 2 years is the NBA loves Jaren because he's a smiling face. He's hosting USA basketball
Yeah.
events. Ja is the face of NBA stuff when he does anything. So
Oh yeah.
Nike and
Nike and
Oh, yeah.
anything he does. So I think moving into the new era, you have 2 guys that can be not faces of not just the Grizzlies, but like young faces of the league.
I think
And when you
to-
have that,
I think to your point, they play more like the NBA is now.
Yeah.
Whereas, in the grit and grind era, grit and grind was so opposite of what the rest of the NBA was doing that nobody really thought about Memphis until they got into the playoffs and started seeing what the atmosphere was like here, how hard those guys played. And, it was a fist fight you come into FedEx Forum to play. And the scores were low. It may have not have been the most exciting high flying, but you were going to take some bumps and bruises when you played this team.
I think that's one of the exciting things having Tony Allen around these young guys
Right.
now is that they're starting to learn a little bit about that grit.
Yeah, you should have said. I mean, like, and Kelcey, you would have enjoyed it. Was the atmosphere is it's different now though because number one, I think those guys, the 4 guys, the core 4 we talked about, and Zebo, Tony, embodied Memphis, and in a way, like helped the organization take the next step
Shout out Canada.
Shout out Canada.
to like mature. You know what I mean? Like to become a real part of Memphis
Yeah.
in a way that they weren't before. Like everyone liked the Grizzlies and they'd gone to the playoffs and stuff, but like in terms of falling in love,
They became rooted.
it was
into
that
the
was a huge thing. Now the next step though, because they were rooted in Memphis, but nationally everyone's kind of like, oh, they're the hipster choice. They're fun to watch. Like they're
Yeah.
different. They're there was a begrudging respect maybe.
Yeah.
Like Ja and Jaren too. I think Jaren's a little underrated in this regard. Ja's a star, man.
Yes.
Like a superstar. Like he's Ja. When has there ever been a one name, 2-letter Ja? Like you just
Put
go Ja.
it on a jersey.
Yeah, Ja.
That's all you need.
Like
You don't need anything else.
We've never had a guy like that in Memphis before, and you can already tell in 6 months what that means to the franchise. It's different.
Yeah, and you can see it around the arena, around the NBA arenas. Anytime that Pete and those guys are going around, anytime there's a crowd shot, there's always somebody in another arena outside of Memphis wearing a Ja jersey or a Memphis jersey.
Real or fake?
Real or fake?
Real or fake?
Well,
Memphis
Whichever one.
is Memphis is king of the bootleg.
Is that the real
100%
deal?
This is the
That's a
real
real
deal.
bootleg.
This is the real.
No,
this
that's
is
the
not
real
bootleg.
deal.
This is
A
the
real
real deal.
That's no more Memphis phrase has ever been uttered than real bootleg.
bootleg.
That's a real bootleg.
That's a real
You
bootleg.
don't want the
And
bootleg.
if you
bootleg.
don't
That's
see
a
that,
different deal.
like you were saying, Peter, it did not exist with the other.
No.
They got some fans along the way, but now it's more like, man, they're coming to see Ja.
Yeah.
They want to see the show, and the show is Ja.
It's like I'm not gonna go as that far with saying this, but they could be like them. I hope it doesn't end up the same way. They could be your modern day like Shaq and Penny, because you have Ja, who's like the subdued, like he's like the chill guy.
Yeah.
He's like in the background. He just wants to like kind of just chill in the background. But you have Jaren, who's the life of the party.
Yeah.
So you have those two personalities, and you mix those together, and look what we got. Like
It's-
like Jaren could be the little Penny to Ja.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know?
I know. That's so. He's a big Penny.
He's a big Penny.
He's a big Ja.
He's a big Ja.
And,
Because we know Ja's not going to say much, but sometimes you can feel like Jaren could be like the.
And it's
the
really funny.
speaking
They're
for Ja.
they're on the court. Like Ja's the opposite. I mean, he's the alpha, and he's going to go out and do stuff and make crazy plays and do the joggles and all that stuff. Point to people in the stand, talk, like he did against James
Houston.
Harden.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they told him, hey, look,
Tell that Mother
they
Nature
tell them
lie.
they know
That's
about
right.
me now, and that kind of stuff. And where Jaren's just going to go play and be happy-go-lucky and all that, and it really makes a good contrast and a good story for the rest of the country.
I'm going with Devin too. I'm going to go with Jaren and Ja. Shout out my top duo. Let's move on to the week.
Hey, we got
that
outvoted.
Was.
Olds, youngs.
Yeah, that actually
There
makes
you go.
sense.
Yeah,
All right, guys, the week that was, March 4th, a big win over the Brooklyn Nets.
Yes.
Moved on to the 6th, pretty bad loss to the Dallas Mavericks. March 7th, Atlanta Hawks, big 17-point win. And then obviously last night, Orlando Magic was a 5-point loss. Let's move back, though, towards the Atlanta game with a 17-point win at home. If you could finish this sentence, I will start with you.
Okay.
During the Hawks game, all eyes were on. My two options that I'm giving you right now are the Vince Carter return or John Trey, but you can finish it however you'd wish.
Well, all eyes were on. I mean, Vince Carter is it was
You're
a really cool
telling
moment.
me about
It
Vince
was a
Carter.
cool moment. I mean,
That's right. Grew up in
it was.
Toronto.
I know he's your hero.
my guy.
He's your guy. Yeah, it's great. I mean, Vince is so beloved. I've said this before. Like, I've never seen a guy go from legit superstar, one of the most hugely known, brightest stars in the league, to role player, bench guy, and just happily do it. Like, not only do it, like, some guys have to be reluctantly
Well, we
like
saw
pulled
that in
to the
Kobe
bench.
in his last year. Not that he was a bench guy, but he was on a pretty horrible team. He mentored those guys.
Kind of angry, Kobe.
It was,
No,
yeah, he
he
wasn't.
mentored those younger guys.
Yeah, it was, but it's different. I mean, like Vince, even when he was here, playing that kind of six-man role, was so good with his time. Was so good with the kid. Like, I mean, he had a room in his house for Deontay Davis. Did they ever use that? Did we ever figure that out?
Sketch. That was
It
kind
was
of
a weird deal. But he's offering that up for these young guys. Like, he's offering this up. He goes to Atlanta. Atlanta, God love them. They're not very good. Like, he knew that, but he stayed there because he loved playing the game and he wanted to just try to be part of it. The guy's got all the money in the world. He's been great with his money. Got a 28,000 square foot house. He could go and retire, do his thing, be a good businessman. He loves the game. So, yeah, his 3 threes were like god awful and whatever, but like the fans were. I loved it. I loved that. I loved it. I thought it was awesome.
I totally agree. It was more, John Trey may have been something to get you in the door, but just when the people found out that this was going to be Vince Carter's last appearance and he's on his farewell tour, and it's like, my wife, we're season ticket holders. And my wife said, yeah, you sure he's coming? No, he already announced he's not coming back. And then when he checks in the game, first one standing is
ovation.
Yeah.
And
It's great.
from all the stuff that you remember seeing when he was in Toronto, your hometown, playing for the Raptors, and he basically was Air Canada, a whole nation. All these guys were Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. All these guys we're seeing
Well,
now.
you saw the Carter Effect,
Yes.
that movie that was on. It's
Yeah.
all the guys that are in the league right now who are from Canada.
That is
grew
correct.
up Playing
Vince.
basketball because of Vince
And then
Carter.
he comes here to Memphis, and it's like, we were sitting there watching. I can't believe Vince freaking Carter is in a Memphis Grizzlies uniform. But he's out there enjoying it.
All the
and
players
talking
love it
to the
too.
fans,
Yeah,
and he's
yeah.
engaging
It's
with
great.
the fan. You saw at the end of the game when they did the interview with JV. Fish. He came over to Fish. He came over and hugged JV, and then he gave Fish a good shout out, saying, and everybody just loves the guy because he's lovable and he's an inclusive, personality. He's not
the equipment
somebody
manager
standoff.
Vince Ford, he made a point to go over and talk to Vince for a while and hang out.
Yeah.
Because it just got everyone that's around the team. He's a good dude. So that was awesome with respect to Ja and Trey, which Trey didn't really show.
And
that
besides,
much.
Ja just ate
Yeah.
Trey. So
John
Both
did
games.
eat Trey.
Dev?
I guess I'll switch it up because, of course, all eyes were on Vince because it is his farewell tour. But for me, all eyes were on the starting five. This is one of the games where the starting five really kind of put their foot down. All guys in the starting five were double figures. They all shine. So for me, all eyes were on the starting five. Everybody put on the show. I feel like the game was over by the end of the first quarter.
It was.
yeah, it was.
It was curtains by the end of the first quarter because
Yeah.
we know you said I'm the meme god. You sit next to me during games. And I looked at you after the first quarter and I said, Kelcey, what am I doing tonight? The game's over. And we ended up with a great Usher meme. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go follow us on social media.
Memphis Grizzlies. Oh, it's really a shame that we lost the game last night because one of the best memes of all time
I really
is-
think it's the best meme of all time.
is buried. But you guys, anyway.
Devin called a shot pregame on the Atlanta game.
I did.
You were ready. You were ready for it.
All right, guys, we'll move on to last night's game.
Do we have to?
We must.
Okay.
It matches the weather outside.
Yeah, gloomy.
Well, didn't start out that way.
No
It
other,
started out with
no other
sunshines
words.
and rainbows.
No other words. So, Devin, I'll start with you. If you could make an all-stat team lineup from last night's game, who is getting your main award? And again, I will give you some things to think about. Terrence Ross, who's averaging 14 points a game right now, had 18 in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
I'm not mentioning Terrence Ross.
Michael Carter-Williams, who's averaging 7 points, has a season-high 20. Bench production, they have 65 bench points, 16 rebounds versus the Grizzlies 36 and 8.
Yeah, they outdid our
Or the
bench.
second half, Magic defense shot 3 for 15 from the 3 in the second half.
How about this? Terrence Ross, no. Michael Carter-Williams,
Shout out Canada.
no. Who else did you name? Gigi Augustine, no. Mo Bamba, no. All that, no. I'm going to throw that all out the window. That goes out that window. I'm going to go on the positive side, the optimistic side, even though the Grizzlies did blow a 17-point
This is
lead.
an all stat. What's the biggest stat of the
Look,
game?
I'm going to I got you.
We can't
Be
positive.
patient.
We lost.
Hey,
She
good
got no
things
faith-
come
she
out
got
of
no
losses.
faith. She's got no faith in you, Devin.
I know. She's like, oh, what are you going to say?
I mean, she's-
Oh, what are you going
All right,
to
go, Devin.
So, I'm gonna pull out Josh Jackson's 15 points off the bench in 20 minutes. He became the first player since Tyreek Evans, or of course, shout out Tyreek, to have 5 consecutive games of 15 points off the bench. So I'm gonna go with that number. That's my number. Shout out Josh Jackson. He's been productive since he's been called up from the hustle. He's been great. We wonder what he would be.
been great.
What would he be? And it took some time to get his feet under him. He got his feet under him. He's been shining. He even had the move last night where he got in his bag with the spin move,
Yeah.
the crossover.
Got Aaron
the-
Gordon on the other
Aaron.
leg.
and one.
Yeah.
Him versus the Magic. So, I mean, I think Josh Jackson was my number. His 15 points off the bench, 4 assists, in 20 minutes of basketball, 6 for 8 shooting.
All right, I like how he has one thing. I love when people are just boom.
Yeah,
What's your number?
like he's
One of
ready
you.
to go.
Okay, well, you already talked about everything that the Magic did, so I won't do that. I'm going to go with JV, Jonas Valanciunas, 26 and 17. And if they could have gotten him the ball a little bit more during those runs where things weren't going well, I think maybe Memphis could have pulled out the win. But you could see in that game, after that first quarter, and even by the half, it looked pretty good. But in the third quarter, the Magic came out, and like you said, defensively, they jumped on the Grizzlies. 3 of 15 from downtown in the second half. And Memphis did not match. But if they could have, you need a run stopper. And if they could have gotten the ball in the JV a few more times, I think that would have stopped the run because he was having a monster game. And then
He's
they
been
stopped
having
getting-
monster games.
Yes,
Yeah, he's
they've
a
been-
monster,
and
man.
they
Shout out
stopped getting
Canada,
the ball.
kind of.
Wait.
Well, that's right. By way
Is
of
he an honorary
Lithuania.
Canadian? You were talking
Yeah,
about that.
By way of
I've
Lithuania.
talked to him, and he still goes by Celsius in terms of temperature, and
Right,
he spells
yeah.
things with U's. So
He does.
me and him, yeah.
Y'all bond.
He's
Yeah.
gotten the
Yeah.
lingo down. Okay.
Okay, all right.
All
We'll,
right.
we'll give him
All
that.
right.
Peter, all stat for the night.
3, which is the number of rotation players the Grizzlies were missing, which came very, very clear at the end of the game when they needed Jaren, Brandon. Justice, we'll see how that goes. But
yeah.
but certainly Jaren and Brandon, they had been closing out games, before the injuries. And, with respect to Jonas, I think had a really productive game, as you mentioned, 27 points. He's been putting up big-time numbers. But turnovers and then defensive liability. Why did Terrence Ross go off? Well, the Grizzlies through that screen and roll situation where they'd have to figure out, do they switch it, or does Josh Jackson try to trail and he couldn't trail, and it was there was a mess. If you have Jaren, if you have Brandon, that becomes an easier situation defensively, and you probably don't get Ross going crazy like that. So for all the other stuff, the Grizzlies have done a really surprisingly good job of handling this stretch of time without those guys. But it will eventually come back and get you, and on a night like that, that's exactly what you saw.
Mm-hmm.
And some of that was the Dallas loss, too. They had 21 turnovers and gave up
Well, the
Almost
turnovers were bad. Missed free throws, turnovers.
A trillion.
Memphis Tiger fans were.
It was 17 offensive rebounds or something like that. If you get Jaren out there, that doesn't happen, I don't think. But, not to say that they would have won the game, and not to say that they couldn't have won the game with the group that they have now because they've been playing.
They still
but every
won
now
that
and
game,
then you're due for a bad game.
Orlando's got
about half, I would say. I don't think it was a bad
Well,
full game.
it wasn't a bad full game because they didn't catch Memphis.
I want to say
they
since
didn't
the
catch them
All-Star
until
break,
late midway of the fourth quarter is when they finally got tight.
Orlando's third offensively since the All-Star break, I think. So there's
they won 4 out of 5.
I think
they went into Houston
they're
and
first in the league in the last 11 games.
Yeah,
they have
they
the
blasted
way
the Rockets the game before. They are a good. If you let them get rolling, they're good. And then, as much as I don't want to say this, shout out to Michael Carter-Williams, who I thought was really good defensively against Ja in a way that
he made it difficult.
He made it hard. That's all you can do. Ja's going to get his productivity, but they put size on him, which a lot of teams are doing, and the Grizzlies right now are having trouble putting lineups out there that have enough shooting to offset that, so you can really clog it up and make it tough.
Yeah, that's to
Steve Clifford. That was a nice game plan.
Well, that's to your point, because if you got Jaren out there on that wing, when Ja drives in, they cannot double because even if Jaren's missing, you still got to respect that shot.
No question.
They don't know enough about our G League guys coming up to, do I have to run out there and respect Josh Jackson? He's hit a few, but he's also missed a few. So it's just one of those things, and we're at that point in the year where you got who you got, and hopefully, help is on the way.
Help is on the way.
Wave the alarm.
That's right. I mean, let's go.
We got a alarm in here?
Let's go.
Is that a meme, a hashtag now?
I don't know. Shouldn't it be?
It should be. Let's go.
All right, guys, let's look ahead. The next couple games that are coming up for the Grizzlies. The next up is the Trailblazers. They're 11th in the West, but one of those teams that, if things go bad for the Grizzlies, things go good for them. Could be coming up in that playoff spot. They got the Jazz, Spurs, 12th in the West on March 16th, and then they end. Before next week, when the next episode is against OKC here at home. They're 5th in the West. Now with Dame back in the lineup, obviously he played in the game against Memphis but was injured. He had 20 points, 5 rebounds, 10 assists in 37 minutes in the last game. If we're looking ahead, this whole Ja, we do Ja versus every good point guard in the league, but we're looking at Ja, Dame versus everyone here. Devin, what's your prediction?
I've been on this show, 3 or 4 times? Or 4 times.
And do we always talk about Dame?
And we always talk about Dame. And the thing is, I've always, even I think two shows ago, I did the whole, when you look at Ja and Dame, they're basically looking in the mirror. So that's one of those matchups when I see those 2 guys on the court, I'm like, oh man, it's like, what's going to happen? Because they're basically, they're not the same player, because Dame is a better shooter. Mentality, just attack you, small college, I'm gonna do whatever it takes. Bag of chips on your shoulder all the time. This is a matchup that I always circle because coming into the season, Damian Lillard, he's one of my favorite point guards, and I want to see how Ja matched up against him. In the last 2 times, Ja's been pretty decent, and I think Dame he's been working his way back into the swing of things. You see, he had 20 last night, he had 25 the night before, so he's working his way back into the swing of things. I mean, my prediction, I think Ja has a good game. I think this team, they know they lost one in Dallas. Orlando. I think you'll have a body back. Reinforcement will be back tomorrow. So I think this could be a very positive outcome for the Grizzlies because I think Ja finally has his tag team partner back on the court.
You're going W.
Yeah.
Grizz dub?
Grizz dub. Because how important is this game for the standings?
Huge.
It's massive. And I think the guys understand that, and I think they come out to play tomorrow in Portland. No Zika virus involved.
Zika. You know what?
When we get Zika,
we don't want
That's
Zika
three
either.
epidemics to go,
we
man.
don't want Zika.
No
we don't want
Ebola,
Corona,
no
anything.
SARS, no Zika.
H1N1.
No
Nothing.
swine H1N. Yeah.
That's right.
Peter?
Last time the Grizzlies had a must-win, big-time game against Portland was right before the All-Star break. They came out and played really well. That's the game. Dame played most of it before he got hurt at the very end. I think you see something similar, and I agree. I mean, who knows? But Jaren Jackson Jr. looks ready to go to me. I would be surprised if he's not back. At that point, Justice Winslow, I know, went through a pretty vigorous Monday practice with the hustle and came through pretty good. So I think he'll if not Thursday, then Saturday for him. It's a must-win, man. You get the tiebreaker on Portland. You feel very good about that. At that point, they're not out of it, but that puts them in a really tough spot in terms of what they have to overcome. And this team has, for a young team that doesn't necessarily have much of experience, they've responded really well in these kinds of situations. So it's going to be a desperate Portland team, but I think if Jaren comes back, even if he doesn't, I think Ja's got something for him. I think he responded. That Lakers game, I was blown away by how good he was in that Lakers game, and that was coming off a 5-game losing streak. You had to get it back. He played great, so I think he's got
that bag of chips
he's
we
got
were talking about.
The stones with Ty Stone. He's got some stones too.
Yeah, he has some stones.
Jarvis?
I don't know. I think Dame and Ja will cancel each other out. Because Ja last night against Orlando, he had 20 points, 21 points,
yeah.
And he really didn't play all that well because he had a bunch of turnovers there, and it wasn't his best game, but he's still scoring, which I think is a healthy sign. You would think, wow, he's not having a good game, but he's getting 12 points or 13. No, he's in the 20s now, just rolling the ball out on the floor, which is good. I think he's going to be extra motivated because this is a big game, and he knows it. Memphis got a big win over Portland here. It was at home, raucous crowd. Going up there, it's going to be crazy in Portland. But I think it's not going to be between Ja and Dame. I think you have to watch out for C.J. McCollum, who's a Grizz killer. And then the other guys on the Grizzlies are going to have to step up their game to win on the road in what's a very hostile environment. Could the Grizzlies win it? Yep. Could the Grizzlies use it? Yeah. And I think a lot will depend on whether or not Jaren is back, and even Justice Winslow. If he's ready, you definitely will see him on Damian Lillard, spending some time there. And he may even switch over to McCollum, depending on what's good, because he can guard pretty much everybody out there. If he can guard okay, I would favor the Grizzlies. If Jaren and them are a little bit rusty in their comeback, that's going to make it difficult, in my opinion.
Feels like a Dylan game. Like I feel like Dylan's gonna. He was
back on
he
the
was
Canada.
Dylan.
Oregon.
The closer you get to Canada, he's getting that Canadian feel.
Oregon,
He's
he's
back
in
in his home. He's all that stuff, and he was mad. I mean, he was legit mad after last night's loss. He did a great job defensively on Trae Young. He's done as much as the shots can be a little maddening at times and crazy. The defense is there. And he's a competitor, which these kinds of games bring out. Like, I'm going to get you. I want this. Give
but
me
his
CJ
offense
McCollum.
also sometimes feeds off his defense. So if he's guarding McCollum,
right,
for example, because he always mostly guards one of their best scorers, that kind of feeds off onto the offensive side.
True.
So can we see him having a big offensive game as well?
I think
defensive?
so. Yeah.
And that's kind of the opposite for a lot of guys, because their offense is not good, their defense suffered.
No question.
He's always. I think. What do you think? I think Dylan should just grow a full-out Van Dyke. Get the long mustache handlebar and be the Dylan the Don't you think? Wouldn't that look cool? Get the long handlebar and then the long.
Should we suggest it or?
Yeah, I think he would listen to it.
Throw that out there right now.
I'm like, listen, if you want to look Canadian.
Yeah.
If you want to look Canadian.
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be good, because you could market the whole thing, and then he really get that snarl going, like he gets, and he gets single-minded of purpose when he's going to the bucket.
My goodness, that came out of left field. Here's my last question, guys, quickly. The Grizzlies are embarking on a stretch of their schedule that's obviously very hard. They're going up against almost everyone left has a winning record or playoff bound.
Shout out to the Knicks who don't.
Okay, well, thank you, New
April
York,
Fool's Day.
for being here. If we're looking ahead of the schedule, the next 4 games are against Western Conference teams. It's a 2-part question, so it's 2-part question, but still be quick.
Let me get my pencil here.
You guys ready to take it down?
Okay.
Number 1, what is the most important game on this upcoming road trip?
Okay.
I don't know if we're all going to agree that it's the Trailblazers or the Spurs or Thunder, whatever. And 2, looking ahead, what games do you think that the Grizzlies can steal to try and get those wins to keep themselves in the 8th spot? And the Knicks do not count because it is not a steal.
No, it is not.
Quickly, Jarvis.
Okay, first one is Portland because it's a twofer. If you win it, you get another game up on them and they go another game in the hole. That's the first one. But I think the Spurs probably, because that's a game you can get, I believe, even though it is in San Antonio. If they can pull that one off, I think it gives them a little bit more cushion no matter what happens with the rest of them. But Portland's definitely the most important.
All right, Peter.
For this trip, Portland for sure to set the tone. Jazz you can get because they have been a weird team.
That's a good one.
It's a weird, and the Conley thing is, I love Mike, and it's weird to
so
see it, but it
weird.
has not worked for whatever reason. But in terms of importance down the line, Pelicans, that 2-game stretch is massive.
I like that
March
one, too.
21st, March 24th.
Yeah.
That sets the tone. You've
That's a
lost
home and
both,
home.
haven't played well, haven't always had everybody there, should be pretty healthy at that point. And Ja versus Zion is always a fun thing to see. That's going to matter a ton because I think the Pelicans, at the end of the day, are the ones that you should be most worried about, charging up from behind.
Interesting.
Yeah, the coach in me is coming out right now. It's the next game.
Oh.
The next one. The next one is your
Lord.
best one.
God.
They always say. So
It's
the
going safe.
Can we all just roll our eyes at the same time? Yeah.
Coach
man.
speak. Coach speak
You
from
like my
Devin.
coach speak? The next one's the best one. So Portland is the most important for me. I think you just came off a loss. You blew a 17-point lead. You had a chance to gain a game on the Kings, the Spurs, the Pelicans. You blew it. So I think your next opportunity is your best opportunity. I'm dropping all the isms right now.
Golly.
Kimball downstairs, our director.
Your next one is your best
Devin
one,
Walker on
Coach.
his lower third, can we get Coach Taylor Jenkins?
Yes.
One game at a time, one possession at a time. We got to work
right.
hard, guys.
Should we
We got to
give
get out there.
110%?
Give him
Keep it locked
110%
in.
every possession. Stay locked in.
right.
So Portland is my next best opportunity. But if you look down the line, Peter, I'm going to go with you. Next week when you face the Pelicans on March 21st and March 24th, that's a huge stretch because ESPN says the Pelicans are going to be in the playoffs. The nerds say the players are going to be in the
Blah,
playoffs.
blah, blah, blah,
Boo,
blah.
nerds.
Everyone over there says that the Pelicans are going to be in the playoffs. Zion's the rookie of the year. Blah blah blah. This.
blah,
I have 2 words for you. Actually, 1 word.
Oh,
One word.
I thought we were gonna,
2
I thought we were
letters.
going to do the.
J.
J.
That's it.
More rat.
One word,
Headband 12.
2 letters.
Let's go leave that there.
What do
That's
you
all I have to
think?
say.
What's your pick?
Oh, dang, we're all out of time, actually.
Wait a minute. No, we're not. You can say that.
I think Portland.
You think
And not
Portland?
like coach speak. I just think Portland's the most important because I do think they're one of the teams that's going to try and make a run now that Dame is back. I love John Dame. And we actually are out of time. So thank you guys for coming in
Coach
today.
Kelcey, thank you.
Coach
Thank
Kelcey,
you.
you're welcome. Devin, always nice to have you on.
Coach
Literally
Devin.
every time. See you guys next time, and we'll see you guys next week.